Hey guys, and welcome to Pixel Cherry Ninja's channel. In this video today, we are starting a new series. It's focusing and looking at fighting games that are available for the MiSTer FPGA. I really like the MiSTer, and one of the big advantages of FPGA gaming in general, and especially the MiSTer FPGA, is when I play fighting games, they feel exactly like the arcade version. And in that I mean the lack of input latency or input lag, right? When I press the button, it feels very responsive. And playing Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, the game that we're looking at today, the game that we're kickstarting this series with today, I remember playing the MiSTer around a friend's house, and when I played ST or Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, we like to call it ST, and that's what I'll call it to save that big long title. When I saw ST around a friend's house, I was playing it on a CRT. It is the only time in my entire life I felt like I was playing the arcade version of ST, and it wasn't on actual arcade hardware. At that point is when I decided, yes, I need to get myself a MiSTer FPGA. And honestly, the purchase that I made with the MiSTer Super Turbo is enough. Just that game justifies the purchase for me. And then I got so much more. So Street Fighter, where did it begin? We had Street Fighter 1, wasn't that good? I used to play it a lot in the arcade. It was my favorite game for quite some time. It had big sprites. The special moves were horrible to pull off. They came out randomly, but it was fun. I ended up completing it in the arcade, taking rounds with my buddy Chris. We absolutely loved it. Now, when Street Fighter 2 came out, it was revolutionary. In fact, I did a live stream with Rani Snice yesterday, who does a lot of the MiSTer wallpapers, and we were speaking about how Street Fighter 2 was the biggest gaming influence of our lives, and me and him agreed on that. It was massive. Everyone was playing it. Everyone was playing it in the arcade when it came out for the Super Nintendo, when later it came out for the Mega Drive, when it came out of PC Engine. It was the game that defined that era. But then after Street Fighter 2, we got Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, and we all rushed to the arcades to play it. The games were everywhere. They were in every chip shop, every cab station, every corner store, every pizzeria, every arcade, wherever you could think of, they were there. And the machines were pretty much always occupied. So when we got Champion Edition, all of a sudden, you could pick the bosses. So you could pick Boxer, Balrog, as it's called in the West. So the naming convention is a little bit weird because initially the Japanese version, the Boxer, the first boss that you fight in Street Fighter 2, was actually called M. Bison. And the claw guy, known as Vega in the West, was known as Balrog. And Sagat has always been Sagat, and the dictator at the end that we know as Bison was called Vega. So internationally, you use the terms Boxer, Claw, Sagat, and Dictator, just so there's no confusion between Japanese and Western players. So anyway, Champion Edition came out. It was amazing to see that. I remember playing that for the first time thinking, you know what, I'm going to pick Sagat, and Sagat's a boss. He's going to be wicked. I'm going to complete the game. And I got completely battered by Ken. I was like, wow, okay, so I actually need to learn these characters and put in time. Then the final game on CPS1, it came, not Super, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, or Street Fighter 2 Turbo. That was really good. It changes a lot of the dynamics. You could do, for example, hurricane kicks in mid-air. If you've done it on a backwards jumping arc, you would go backwards. If you've done it forward, you would go forward, but you would go in a straight line. Chun-Li had probably her best fireball that I've ever seen. It's half a circle, it's not charge, it's a motion move, and it goes all the way across the screen. As well as that, there are additional moves and changes. It's probably the best version on CPS1, at least the one that I like. Do let me know if you like a different version. Now, when CPS2 hardware came, I remember Super Street Fighter 2 coming out before Turbo. And a friend of mine came to my house and he was like, oh, let's go to Central London. He was there and he saw like this new version of Street Fighter. Now, Street Fighter was our main game. And I remember going to Central London, an arcade called Ⅎ𝒾𝓈𝓈. It was a massive place. And we went in there. We had no money. We just about scraped enough money for our travel card. It was very cheap back then. We got to Central London and we're watching the older guys playing and seeing the 4 additional characters taking the roster to 16, seeing like Cammy, seeing Ⅎ𝒊, seeing DJ and T-Hawk, and just being like, wow, absolutely mind blown. It was absolutely amazing. It wasn't until like a week or so later that I had a little bit of money and we went to Central London and we played there, and naturally I started getting bodied in that game straight away. So I didn't really play too much of Super Street Fighter 2. Then later on in 1994, we got Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So this game introduced super moves, and super moves were banging. You'd never seen anything like that before. I don't know if Super Street Fighter 2 or ST was the first game to ever introduce super moves, But man, it's where I first noticed them. All of a sudden, your characters have got this gauge that builds up at the bottom. Once it fills up, it flashes super. You input like a fireball twice with Ryu. He does a super fireball. Some of the inputs were quite difficult. It was absolutely mind-blowing. Now, I saw a little bit of ST in the arcade. I didn't really play it too much. At the time it kind of released, we were still playing stuff on home console. I remember buying a 3DO specifically because it had Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and hey man, ℾ𝒾𝓈 looks so cool. You found that unlock code where you put it on specific characters for a certain amount of time, and then you can unlock ℾ𝒾𝓈, and ℾ𝒾𝒾 was cheap mode, man. He had those fireballs, very, very OP, very, very powerful. So this was absolutely amazing, and this is the game why I got into the MiSTer FPGA. Went to my friend's house, played the MiSTer. The only time it felt like I was playing the arcade game outside of an arcade, not on arcade hardware. It was amazing. And this was an era in my life where I had gone with video gaming, I'd gone with the arcade, then I kind of went into DJing, the nightlife. Only casually gamed a little bit, and then I got my game shop. We got back into Street Fighter or fighting games via Capcom vs SNK 2. Then I got into Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Then years later, as we're still playing, I met up with a bunch of guys that played Super Turbo. I started playing Super Turbo, and this game was amazing. It has 16 characters that you can pick out, 17 including ℾ𝒾𝓈. But out of the 16 new characters, you could put in a secret code, and you could unlock the version from Super Street Fighter. So essentially, you had 33 characters if you count ℾ𝒾𝓈, and 2 versions of every single character. This was absolutely amazing. I do remember one guy. There was one guy in the arcade, and he used to play Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo a lot. This guy was really, really good, but not a lot of people used to play him. Now, I don't remember if this guy was so good that he battered everyone when they lost, because there was always, like in the arcade back then, you had weird people, and it was an accepting time, and you had like some weirdos out there. This guy always just smelled of urine, and for some reason when you were playing him in between rounds, he would like start looking at your private parts. He was a lot older. I can't remember his full name, but they used to refer to him as Ⅎ𝒾𝓶 in the arcade. Ⅎ𝒾𝓶, like Ⅎ𝒾𝓶. I don't know what it meant or whether there was an undertone to the game, but I know it's a little bit weird. But the time Super Turbo was out, this guy was good, but I don't know if he won because he intimidated people with his smell of urine, and the fact that in between rounds, it looked like he was literally eyeing up the center of your body. He was a lot older, we were younger, so definitely something a little bit disturbing there. I mean, I never saw anything terrible from this guy, but yeah, it was definitely weird. So this was the guy in our kind of local area with the machine there, and this is one of the reasons I never really got into it back in the day. But, you know, in my mid-30s or whatever, met up with a bunch of guys, started playing Super Turbo again, and it was just absolutely amazing. It just reawoke that Street Fighter buzz that we had. I started playing it on arcade hardware. I started going to the arcade. Big shout out to Free Play City, and we were just back in the swing of it. And I was actually on the verge of buying an arcade board, getting everything there, getting a CRT, and it was likely going to be more than the cost of a MiSTer. And at that exact time I was about to make the purchase, I tried the MiSTer around a friend's house, and I was like, wow, absolutely banging. Like, it is the arcade in your house. And this is what's so magical about the MiSTer FPGA and all the games that it brings. Everyone has their favorite game in this series. Like I said, we're going to look at fighting games, but I wanted to start with Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Just absolutely amazing. The amount of characters that you can pick, the matchups, the counter picks, the friends, the rivalries. I'll tell you a little funny story before I end. I know I said the funny story about the guy Ⅎ𝒾𝓶 that smells urine and kept looking at the center part of your body, but hey, you had weirdos back in the day, and guess what? You even have weirdos in this day and age. It just happens, right? So what was really funny was I always heard about this place called Taco Bell. Apparently it's a place like people have in America. They eat tacos, and a friend of mine when we were young, he went to America, he hung out with his brother, hung out with Mary Jane, and he ate a lot of Taco Bell. So he always told me about Taco Bell, but we never really had those in the UK. So the first time we arranged a Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, a ST session around a friend's house, there was like 6 or 7 UK players that came, and very nice of the guy to host us on a CRT, the original arcade board, and it came time to go and eat. Now, when it comes to the UK Super Turbo scene, for some reason, everyone likes fried chicken. Don't get me wrong, I like fried chicken. Everyone in the ST scene loves chicken, guys. They really like chicken. In fact, if you go onto their Discord server, they often talk about how great fried chicken is. So we were all going out to eat, and they said, let's go and get KFC. And as we were walking over to KFC, and this was, what part of London this was in? Was this Westish London? There was a Taco Bell there, and I've never ever tried a Taco Bell, and it's the first time I ever saw one in the UK. And I was like, guys, can we try Taco Bell? And you know what? The other guys were kind. I don't think anyone wanted Taco Bell, but they saw how much I wanted to try it because I never tried it before. So we all went and got Taco Bell. And guess what, guys? Taco Bell is disgusting. Whatever I got, it was horrible. I did not enjoy my food. The only thing I enjoyed was this dessert fried kind of thing at the end, and that honestly was more there to take the nasty taste of the Taco Bell meal that I had. Anyway, the other guys did not enjoy the Taco Bell. I remember most of the guys dashing that food away. So what happened in the end now? Every time I meet this bunch of players, it always comes up that I'm the guy that took them to Taco Bell. And I tell them, guys, it's been like 5 years, maybe 5 years, 4 years at least that this happened. Can you not forget about it? But no, Pixel is that guy that made everyone eat Taco Bell over KFC. And I feel like this will always go on for the rest of my life. Anyway, guys, that's it. MiSTer is freaking amazing. Fighting games on the system are amazing. Do let me know what fighting games I should cover. I have got a big list. There's plenty of fighting games on there, just on the Neo Geo alone, the Capcom hardware. There are lots and lots. Even when we look at dedicated consoles and the games that are available on that, I might even chuck some janky ones in there just for fun. But let me know what your favorites are. Do let me know if you played Super Turbo in the arcade, and if you grew up in my neck of the wood in North London, do let me know if you come across this guy that smelt a urine called Ⅎ𝒾𝓈, and a guy that always checked like the center of your body. Anyway, guys, be awesome for another. If you're not subscribed to the channel, then a subscription and a like is super duper appreciated. This is Pixel Cherry Ninja out.